Greetings and welcome to the Halloween edition of the Sliders Review. And I'm here today to talk to you about Anaconda, the 1997 movie. So this is considered a adventure horror movie. It's not so much your traditional Halloween movie, but I always watch it around like October time. It does have horror and suspense in it. The fascinating thing is that the movie monster in this is actually that of a real creature in the real world, that of a anaconda snake. If you don't know what those are extremely huge snakes that can get anywhere from 20 to 40 feet long, and they're very thick. And so they're like one of the oldest living snakes that hasn't been extinct yet. Now, this movie stars a lot of famous people. It stars Jennifer Lopez, who was nominated for a Saturn Award. It also stars that of Owen Wilson, Kari Wurr, let's see who else, Eric Stoltz, Jonathan Hyde, and let's see, Vincent Castorello. I can't say his name. Castro. I don't know. Anyway, Danny Trejo, and it also stars that of scumbag actor John Voight and Ice Cube. I don't like John. John gets on my nerves. I think he's scum. Ice Cube, I have lost all respect for after a few years ago. I am not for anti-Semitism. However, I will say this. Even though John Voight is terrible, he did a pretty extremely good job at acting. A lot of people make fun of his acting in this movie. I think it's very convincing. I couldn't tell which country his accent was from. He just played the part very well. Ice Cube, for a rapper, I've always give it up for him and his acting. His acting's always been pretty decent and stuff. Mostly he just acts like himself, so that's not really acting. But he's pretty good like on the screen, like the barbershop movies and Friday movies and stuff like that. But I can't stand both of these guys. And Jennifer Lopez, for being a singer, she did a really good job in this movie. I miss her old hairstyle, like, the naturally curly, like brown hair. She looks so glammed up and fabulous like now, with all her different like hair colors, light brown, blonde, sometimes brown and stuff. But, and I forgot, like, she used to look this way back in the day and stuff. And this was back early in her movie career and stuff. And because she started off as a background dancer and in Living Color. Then she started doing movies and singing, and now she's back to being married to Ben Affleck. I still can't believe that. And they lasted longer than what I said they'll last. Now my new prediction is I give it 3 to 4 years tops. And stuff. And the interesting thing about Kari Wurr, I cannot say her last name. I just say Wurr. Is that like she's been in a lot of movies. I think mostly B-list type movies, but she's been in a lot of movies. But she was also on a show I love called Sliders. And when she joined the show in the 3rd season, they actually did a snake episode. It was just kind of like an interesting callback to this movie and stuff. And so this movie, although a cult classic, and although being a box office hit, critics hated this movie. They hated it. Now I'm giving it up right here, right now. I don't care what nobody said. This is a good movie. It's solid. It's solid from beginning to middle. And however, the very last part of the ending just kind of feels weird. They try to like tie it up in a nice little bow, and I don't like that part. But the special effects are great, and this came out in '97. The special effects are mainly practical. This thing looks like a real snake. The way it slithers around on the ground, the way its tongue comes out, it always looks real. The only time practically it looks fake is when you look dead on at its face, like in the center, and it looks kind of weird. But when you look at its face throughout like the side, it looks great. Even the CGI special effects are great. Although there are times where they're a little wonky. You gotta remember, this is 97. They didn't render it all that well sometimes. The worst CGI is probably um, when it wraps itself around Gary, which is Owen Wilson's character, and another scene when it's wrapping around somebody else. That's the only time it looks terrible. Other than that, the CGI is great when it like charges and like snatches people. Like one time, this man tried to jump off either a mountain cliff or something, and the snake catches him in the with his jaws like mid fall. Then it wraps around his body really fast. It looks amazing. But just the rendering on the CGI and sometimes the like, wrapping around people's body goes a little too quickly and stuff. But other than that, you gotta give it up. This was in 97. If this was done today, it would be all with CGI. In fact, this movie has spawned a bunch of sequels, four to be exact. No, five, I think. No, there's five movies altogether. And after this movie, what was the name of it? Hunt of the Blood Orchid. And the second movie, Hunt of the Blood Orchid, did not do so well. In fact, none of these movies do well in the box office. Critics hate these movies so much. The second one had negative reviews, but then it spawned a sequel. The second one was the last theatrical movie. I didn't even know it came out in theaters. I have never seen none of the sequels. I'm just scared it's going to be terrible with the bad acting and stuff because, as you know, as sequels keep on going, acting and CGI gets bad. And then you have like the third movie, Offspring. Once again, critics hated that movie. Then you have Trial of Blood, and that movie did bad. They say the acting is bad. They say the CGI is getting worse as the movies are going on. How is that possible? When the first movie CGI and practical effect looked so good, now they're getting worse and worse because now they're just getting lazy. And now the third one is funny. David Hasselhoff is in that movie. Also, John Rhys Davies is in that movie. What's so interesting about him is that John is also from the show Sliders. So him and Kari are from the same show and the same movie franchise. However, they didn't really star in the same seasons because he left after the third. Well, actually, he was fired after the third. And she was brought in as his replacement. So they only shared like one scene together and like that's it. Then you have the fifth movie, which is a crossover. It's what is it? Lake Parasite versus Anaconda. Basically, it's alligators versus the anaconda snake. And I hear that movie is atrocious. All of these movies gets like nominated for like Razzies awards and like, stuff like that. And so yeah, you just have to take this movie for whatever it is. Now, the first four movies are on a box set DVD. You can also get them individually. I have the first one on Blu-ray, and ironically, there are no features whatsoever. There's not even like a chapter thing. Like basically, you put the movie in, and bam, like it just starts playing. It's kind of weird. There are no features on the Blu-ray. Not no interviews, not how the movie was made. None of that good stuff. And, they probably figured since, people hated the movie, critics and stuff, what's the point? But, it has a cult following now. It made its money at the box office, over 100-something million. And so, they should at least come up with some special features or something. But basically, this movie revolves around anaconda snakes. So basically, Jennifer Lopez, she plays Terry. She's part of a film crew. They are supposed to go looking for this ancient, like indigenous hidden tribe called the Shimagama. I'm pretty sure that's fake. I couldn't even find them on Wikipedia and stuff. And so, like, so she gets her crew and she assembles. However, in the beginning of the movie, Danny's character, he's a poacher and he's trying to contact his other poachers. Well, the anaconda snake, well, we don't get to see, is coming towards him. So it's kind of like a Jurassic Park thing. It's the suspense and stuff. He's so scared, he takes a gun and he takes his own life and everything. I didn't even know that was Danny at first. He was so young in that role. And so, but don't worry, it's not gonna be like Jurassic Park the entire time where you just hear like stuff rumbling and winds moving and you hear noises. You actually gonna see this snake move. Like one of the most impressive kills is the first one. The thing kills a black panther. And the way it did it, the way it was cut, the way it was edited, it looked horrifying. It wrapped itself around the body practically, and then you see like the prosthetic animatronic like panther like screaming and eyes like freaking out, and it looked amazing as it was getting like strangled and stuff and crushed. And then it popped one of his eyeballs out. Ugh, you don't get to see that part, but you see the eyeball on the ground. It was done amazingly, and this was done in 1997. So, part of her crew is what's his name? What's his name? Danny, which is funny because Danny, the character, and Danny, the real life actor, played by Ice Cube, and so also like Paul, which is Eric's character, and Gary, Denise, and somebody else. Let's see, I said Paul. Warren probably. Yeah, Warren is kind of like the nature documentary host type person. He's British. He's very snooty. He's very rude. Danny is like from the LA. He works the camera and stuff. He has an attitude and people get an attitude with him. Denise is just, I don't know what the world Denise and Gary's position are in the movie. They're like a dating couple and they're just there. I don't even know what their jobs are. I think they're the audio people or something like that. Because one time they go out in the jungle and they want to get like sound bites and stuff like that. Kari is just there to be like the sex symbol and everything, which is something she always plays, like a sex bill, vixen and stuff. Um, and as they're on the boat, cause see, Terry's character, she likes this one doctor, Paul dude. They're friends and everything. I don't know exactly what his position is too. I don't know what kind of doctor he is. Might be like a professor or something like that. So they're out looking for this indigenous tribe. And as they're on the boat, there's a guy played by Vincent named Mateo, and he's like their skipper. Now, when they're on the boat and they're looking for the indigenous tribe, they see a man on a boat. He needs help. They let him come aboard. This is the John Voight's character, and so no, he is Paul. He's Paul. So crap, who's the other dude? Who's the doctor guy? I don't know. Doctor dude. I'm just gonna call him Doctor dude. But Paul is the freaky, shady looking guy with the foreign accent. Don't know where he's from. And so he tells them, like he knows where the tribe is. He knows these like the back of his hand. And he keeps looking at Mateo kind of weird and stuff. And they just kept looking at each other back and forth. So they have a history, but you don't know what. So basically what it is that while they're on a boat, he pretty much tricks them into going to a place they're not supposed to go. He has dynamite and everything ready to blow the barricade. And he's hunting anaconda snakes. And he doesn't let them know. Basically, he is sabotaging a lot of stuff. The doctor, when they get like tangled on like a cord, he puts like a wasp inside like the breathing mask. And so when he's underwater, the thing's in his mouth. When they rescue him, um Paul like punctures his neck, puts like a pin in there so he can breathe. So he's out for like the entire movie. And so when he blows up the barricade, snakes, like regular snakes, are falling down there where he's not phased by this. They know something's weird with him, but they don't know exactly what. So then when they find like some type of home out on the river, him, Mateo, and Danny, they go to like investigate looking for oil in there or gas or something like that, some kind of fuel. And so he finds like a chest, and him and Danny take it back. Mateo gets left behind and he gets killed by like the snake. And so like at this point in time, like, you know, Denise is kind of like maybe he's alive and stuff like that, but he's like, no, chances are the snake's got him or something like that. So then when Gary and Denise are out like trying to make out in the jungle because they think it's hot and horny and stuff, they are almost attacked by a boar. Now, Paul is like a hunter, he's a poacher, he's just an all-out crooked type man. And you always see him like cutting up fish and like, you know, all this other stuff. So you know something's weird about him, but he's this survivalist type person with hunting skills and everything else. And like it's funny because like he tells like the people we can eat for a week off this boar, and Ice Cube's characters are like, eat that. And then it's funny because the Ice Cube character, when he was inside that home on like, you know, the river, he's all like, this place is spooky. Well, anyways, inside the home, that's where the first poacher was in the beginning of the movie, and he has like, you know, a newspaper clipping of him, Mateo, and Paul. And so um he hides it from them until something happens. Well, anyway, he convinces Gary, the Owen Wilson character, hey man, you know, there's money to be made, and like, you know, filming like me getting this giant snake and like stuff like that. So he brainwashes him very easy with the prospects of money. The niece does not like this and everything. Well, Gary gets taken by the snake. Well, and it's a little bit bad of a wonky CGI scene, but it's like, you know, whatever. Anyway, once they figure out who this man is and like his intentions, cause he keep pulling guns on them and stuff like that, they have to figure out a way to get rid of this man. And he tells them pretty much, you know, he's, you know, set all this crap up. Well, actually, Terry figures it out that he sets everything up. And he's all like, don't forget about the wasp and everything. So she's furious. So they don't know what they're going to do because they're with a madman and they're out in the middle of nowhere. So they devise a plan to get rid of him, basically. Basically, Terry's gonna like seduce him while the guys jump him. At first, it don't work until it finally does. Once they tie him up, they go looking for like fuel in this one building type place on the river. And so at this point in time, Denise decides she's gonna get vengeance for her boyfriend and tries to kill Paul. And he does some weird, he's sitting on the floor bed of like the boat, and he leaps up somehow and grabs her by like the neck with his thighs, and he chokes her and kills her and everything. And so as they're all like, you know, fighting each other and all this whatnot, oh, there's another bad CGI scene. Gary, inside of the snake's body, you see his face imprinting out on the snake. It's just a weird scene. Anyway, they're inside the building, they're looking for fuel, and here comes the bad guy and everything. And so there's also a snake. And so, like, you know, they have to fight the snake and the bad guy and blah, 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 blah. Anyways, the snake ends up killing Warren and everything. They're very cool. That's the one who falls down and it catches him. They lure the snake into like the building. They had to fight off like Paul and stuff. Paul ends up getting bit and eaten by the snake. There's a really gross scene where, oh, actually, there's a funny scene when the snake, see, first Paul captured a monkey for bait, and the snake ate it, but then it spit it out in Gary's face. But anyway, the snake spits out Paul, and it's very gross. The CGI is kind of weird because of the way it like spits him out, so it's a little wonky. But yeah, he's dead, covered up in all this goo and everything. His eyes are still blinking. It's disturbing. So, anyways, with Danny and Terry left alive and everything, they're trying to get fuel and they're trying to blow up the snake. Terry has to climb up a rope, up like the shaft and everything, as Terry's gonna set the whole place ablaze and stuff like that. There's a huge explosion. They both get out. They go back on the boat, and of course, the doctor dude is still alive and everything. He helped knocked out Paul earlier in the movie when they were all fighting and he was trying to kill everybody and stuff like that. So this is the part of the movie that kind of gets on my nerves. Everything should have ended after this. They should have just headed back on the river, back to civilization. But what do they find? The indigenous people they was looking for at the beginning the whole time. And they're like, wow, we should film this. And it ends on them just like filming like the indigenous people in this somber type music, and it ends just in a weird kind of way. It's just all that suspense, all that horror, and then all of a sudden they find the people they were looking for, and everything's all peaceful and calm now. But there's only 3 people left alive. One dude with a punctured neck, and the other 2 who literally fought like an evil man and 2 giant snakes. It just ends very weird and stuff, but this is a very good movie nevertheless and stuff. That wasn't that spooky. Alright, well, I shall talk to y'all later. Bye.